And we are live.
We are live, and every time we try to go live, JNL, it's always some sort of technical issues. It's about to go. It's about to come through any minute now. I guess not. So we're going to go ahead without the video. Good afternoon, and welcome to Chit Chat with the Journey Sisters. JNL, good afternoon. Miss Patel, good afternoon.
Good
And how are
afternoon,
you doing?
ladies. How are you guys?
Afternoon.
Good.
Listen, listen, I am in a celebration mode, but a summer mode. You know what month this is, right?
Is this
The
your
Rosh
This
birthday month?
Hashanah.
my birthday month. I
Oh, your
celebrate for the
birthday.
whole month. And as I get a little higher in numbers, I'm not going to say
Older.
older,
It's older.
I get a little more seasoned, right? I get a little more seasoned. Good afternoon and welcome to Chit Chat with the Journey Sisters. And this afternoon, I just want to start off by saying how thankful I am. I am thankful for life, for the air that we breathe, for friends, for family. I'm thankful for my car. I'm thankful for my house. I'm thankful for food. I'm thankful for the birds. I'm thankful for people that cut me off on the street. I'm thankful for the grocery stores being shorted. I'm thankful for everything. I am thankful for everything, but I'm thankful for the audience that we have and for this platform because you guys are so encouraging. As I say every time we come on here is everybody's not going to agree with what we have to say. This is just a chit chat. This is just our opinion. But if we make a difference in one person's life, we have done a whole lot. We are doing the master's work. And I am so thankful for my sisters who have chosen to be on this journey with me. They're probably on their own journey, but we have decided to do this together because we understand that the mission is not just for us alone. The world is too big for me alone. We have to work together to reach everybody, and we are working on purpose. We were given an assignment to do. We weren't created because there was just nothing to do on a Saturday afternoon. So He made us. We were created with an assignment, and so long as we work that assignment, we live on purpose. We're doing what is required. This afternoon, I have with me my co host as usual. Everybody knows Miss Janelle, but she's going to still tell you about herself. But we also have a special guest, Miss Patel. Miss Patel, I don't want to say your first name because I don't want to butcher it. And
It's
I'm not
Rodica. Rodica, but you can just call me Raw.
raw. And
Raw.
Jada, no, I call people, I look at you and I just give you a sweet name, which is completely different from what you introduce yourself as. So I'm going to try and keep it, you know, stay in line today. I have Miss Patel with us this afternoon, and we're going to ask her to go ahead and introduce herself and tell us what she does. Go right ahead, Miss Patel.
Hi, everybody. My name is Pastor Rodica Patel. I am a pastor at Miracles International Ministries. I'm also a prophet. I'm a licensed realtor, a licensed cosmetologist, but most importantly, I'm just a child of the Most High God. I've been delivered. I've been kept. Um, I've been through the trenches. I've been in hard places, and His love and His healing and just life has brought me to this new life. So I'm just living on purpose, reborn, and happy to be here, and glad to share my testimony and tap in on the conversation with you guys. It's going to be great.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Janelle.
Yes. Well, welcome. Well, all of you guys know me. And if you don't, my name is Janelle. I am Miss Alicia's co host, her sidekick. I'm the one that lights the fire and just don't care about it. But anyway, I'm so happy that you have me on the show, Miss Alicia. We've been doing this now for a year already, and you keep bringing me back. So I don't know. I don't know what to say. I must be doing something right, Rob. But anyway, I'm excited to be on this platform. And yes, we are on a journey. We are on a journey. All of us we may not be going in the same direction, but we are all on our own personal journey to somewhere. And that's why we've collaborated. We have this platform where we share, we're very candid, we're truthful, we are transparent about the experiences that we've had. in an effort to help someone else. You know, if you hear our testimony, and it may be at a time that you're actually going through what we are talking about, but we tell you that God is real, and we show you how he brought us out with hopes to encourage and inspire you that if he can do it for me,
He
he
can do
can
it
do
for
it
you.
for you. So I am your
Amen.
life fulfillment coach, Janelle V. And my mission is to help people find their purpose, to uncover who you are and why you are here. I feel like that can solve a whole ton of problems if you really know who you are. And if you know whose you are, if you know, if you have a personal relationship and you tap into the God that you serve, and you know that he is bigger and greater than any problem that you have, and you are a child of the king, then this, I believe there's a certain type of spirit and authority that you ought to be walking in. And so
Come on.
once you understand why you're here, you can be about, you know, your purpose and what you've been called to do, instead of just meandering through life, connecting yourself to people and places that you got no business being with. Come on, somebody. I'm about to get
Amen.
started here. But anyway, I'm so happy to be here. I am so happy to be here. I'm happy that the guests that tap into the show every week. You know, I got at least I got an inbox after the last show, and it was this young man, and he was asking me how how to find his purpose, how to tap into it. Man, we had a really good conversation, you know, teary-eyed conversation. I prayed with him and just declared some stuff over his life. And I'm excited. You know, he hasn't messaged me back to let me know how, you know, what the progress is, but I'm really excited because now he understood how to tap into what it was that he was called to do. And I'm excited to hear. So listen, this may not be for everyone, but I want you to know that if it's just one person's life that we change, if it's just one person's life that we impact this day, then what we're doing here is not in vain. So I'm excited to be here, Alicia. I'm excited to be with my girl Ra. She is amazing. You guys are gonna hear from her. You know, every time we bring the guest on the show, it just keeps getting better and better, Alicia.
Better right.
Don't you be
You know
trying to
what?
correct me, okay? It's better
No, no, I'm not
and
going to you.
better.
No, I'm
Okay,
gonna leave
good.
it just as it is. Okay. I was just about to say, Janelle, that you said an earful there, and you said it all for me as well. But that better, I don't know about that part.
Well, you know,
Oh,
it's
better.
called Ebonics. I just learned that today, girl. I just learned about Ebonics today. You know, so I'm thinking that's Ebonics, but you guys understand what I'm saying. We keep bringing you these guests with a powerful testimony because they've got something to share, and we want people on this show that's transparent, that's not afraid to go all the way in the trenches, baby. Because you know, I take you all the way there. But we're excited today, Alicia, and it's really not about me and what I've been through. What I want to know this beautiful lady that we have here on the opposite side of this screen. I want to know, like, Alicia chose this topic. She always, you know, I don't know. I call it the spirit. I guess the spirit hits her at different points in time, and she comes up with these topics, and then she'll call me, and she'll be like, "This topic." But the crazy thing about it is, and crazy may not be the right word, but when Alicia came up with this topic, and I always ask her from what aspect and what are you talking about? What's the topic, Alicia?
Acknowledgement, accept, admit, to heal.
Right. So when I had mentioned that to Ra, we were just having this beautiful conversation one day. And when I had mentioned that to her, she was like, "Oh my God, I had just posted that on my Facebook page or whichever social media platform she was using." And she let me read it. And I said, "Girl, you need to screenshot it. You need to screenshot
Mhm.
that because this right here is just confirmation that we are all in the same vein." It's amazing how God can just speak to one person, but he's saying the same thing to millions of people at the same time. So I want you to
Mhm.
share that post, Ra. I mean, share what that post meant to you because you had some deep things to say about that post, honey. That's why I know
Mhm.
that it was preordained by God for you to be a part of the chit chat with the Journey Sisters today.
And we're gonna
Amen.
put Ron
Well,
spot in a
listen.
minute.
So
Go right
that
ahead.
post
Go
is
ahead.
actually on my phone, and I'm streaming this on the phone. But I will tell you what it said. Um, it was basically I was in a place where I was a little uncertain about, the transitions. And a lot of times when we're in transition and when we're not quite where God has called us to be, but we're coming out of where we were, that's really when I believe he deals with like undercover traumas, when he starts to reveal insecurities, reveal fear, and reveal pain, like rejection and abandonment, and those things that like start to come up when you're in dry places, when it's just you and Holy Spirit. So one night, the night before I saw you, I was laying in my bed. I was missing my family because I'm newly here in Atlanta. And I basically said that, I took the day to feel. I took Sunday, I did not preach, just to feel, to acknowledge the fact that there were some things that hurt. There were some things that didn't feel good. There were some things in my life that I just kind of, I said, oh, it's okay. And I put a scripture on it. I put a post on it. I put a meme on it. I put a quote on it, and I just try to convince myself that what happened was not as traumatic or did not have the type of impact that it did in my life. But I realized I had been disappointed by people, but that's because I placed expectations on people and places and things that were not my authority or that was not my assignment. You get what I'm saying? I put myself in situations where all of a sudden I was feeling empty. I was feeling alone. And the Lord said, you're not alone. I had to acknowledge the fact that my insecurity sometimes makes me overperform in people's life. I had to accept the fact that that came from trying to earn a father's love, because my dad never told me he loved me before he passed. I had to really acknowledge it and admit it. And it's just like when I came out of addiction or anything else, I was just having those moments. I had to feel the pain of addiction. I had to feel the pain, and I had to admit it. Like if that's like me standing in the middle of a field saying, if I'm talking to you, Jane, and I'm saying, Sarah, Susie, Monica. But until I say Janelle, that's when you're going to turn around. And that's when you have to call a thing for it to come out. You have to address it for what it is. And I had to address it. I said, you're dealing with abandonment. You're dealing with the fear of disappointment. And so that was what the post was about.
And that in itself, is an earful right there. It resonates with me. And the reason why I chose this topic this afternoon is because I realized that a lot of times we cannot go any further because we're in our own way.
Right.
And as human beings, one of the things that we yearn is recognition. Now, if you walk into a room full of people, or even if just your child coming home or your husband coming home or whatever the case is, and they get into the house and they say absolutely nothing to you, what's your reaction? They're not acknowledging, why are you here? You're not acknowledging me. So we yearn that recognition. We want to know that we matter. We want to know that, I'm performing, I'm acting in a particular role. And when we acknowledgement determines relationships. And it not only determines that relationship, it defines it as well. So if you've been through something or you're going through a situation and you refuse to acknowledge it, and I say refuse because we are aware, just like an alcoholic will drink and he will never admit, if he never admits that he's an alcoholic, he will never be healed. He has to admit at some point in time, I am an alcoholic, or he or she. I'm not picking anybody in particular, right? But that acknowledgement. Now, if you never acknowledge that, you will never heal. And one of the reasons why we don't acknowledge it is because we're standing in our own way. How do we get out of the way so that we can move forward? That healing is not just, and we want to blame everybody for things that's happening to us or around us or whatever the case is. And some of it, even if the trauma wasn't what we caused ourselves, the rest of it where we're not healing is self-inflicted. And in order to move forward from that self-infliction, it's not the easiest thing to do. It is not a smooth road. It's not a smooth path. Sometimes there isn't even no direct, direction or instruction. But we have to acknowledge it. Acknowledge it, admit that we have an issue, and accept the fact that it happened. Now, what do we do about it? And we want to blame on the job, and we want to blame our girlfriends, and we want to blame our husbands or whatever. What role are we playing in that situation in order to move forward, to heal, to grow? to live on purpose? Janelle.
I want to dig deep and I want to get really deep in there because this topic is not for the faint at heart. They would look at us, people would look at me and they would say your life is perfect. You have this, you have this, you're successful, you got a book, you got music, you're so talented, you got all of this stuff going on, and it's something that they look up to. But if you really heard my story, if you really heard what I've actually been through and what I've experienced to get to this point, you'd be like, oh, I never even knew that she went through something that dramatic. But my point is, what you're looking at is the process, because God took me through that process and I allowed myself to stay in the oven under the heat and under the pressure. And now that He is bringing me back to myself and bringing me out, I'm able to show forth the purity of all of that He has taken me through. So when I met Ra and heard her testimony and things that she's been through, honey, she don't look nothing like what she's been through. And you mentioned something, Rod. You talked about overperforming,
Mm-hmm.
and I've had that issue. Can you
Yeah.
can you go much more into that? And then you mentioned being an addict. I want you to kind of share your testimony because see, we're overcome by the words of our testimony, by the blood of the Lamb. There's a reason why we are all here right now at October the 1st. This is a new month. This is a month that we've never seen before. And this day, we'll never see this day again. We'll see October 1st, maybe 2023, but we will never see October 1st, 2022 again. So the people that are listening, that are tuning in, I know that this word is for somebody, may not be for everybody, but you're going to learn so much from the chit chat with the Journey Sisters today, because we're going to really be transparent with some stuff, right? So this is still rated PG-13, so your kids can watch. Or this is gonna be real deep. We're gonna go real deep. So Rob, um, just share a little bit about that, which you mentioned about overperforming.
So just real quick, because I know you said we do overcome by the blood of the Lamb, which has already been shed, and then the words of our testimony. My parents moved to America. I'm just going to give you the brief so I can show you why I ended up overperforming. My parents were born and raised in Africa, and then they moved to England. All my family is in England. I was born in England. When I was just a few months old, my parents moved to the United States. And we were here alone. It was my mom, my dad. They came with friends. And it was me and my younger brother. Fast forward, my parents died 32 days apart when I was 17 years old. Now, mind you, I'm an implant in the United States, so I didn't have any family. It was just me and my younger brother, 15. So I had just graduated high school. I graduated early, and he was still going into his junior year. I did the best I could. He ended up getting incarcerated. I ended up My father died of alcoholism. It was generational, come from depression. And I'm going to get to overperforming in a minute, because the very thing that I hated in him was the very thing I became. He died from alcoholism because he was heartbroken. He gave so much of himself to build the lives of people around him. And when it was time for him to be poured into, or him needing somebody to encourage him, to build him, to support him, he was left empty. And that's because he didn't know the value that he carried. So he was a builder, and instead of building himself first and becoming strong and who God had called him to be, and then giving what runs over to others, he gave everything to others because he needed that validation. So fast forward, I developed an ego because I became a head of a household at a very young age. My brother went into prison. I hated alcoholism. Alcoholism killed my father. My mother died of breast cancer. I say my dad died of a broken heart. Fast forward, I never wanted to taste alcohol. I rebuked it. I did not want to do that. And the minute I got married, My husband was cheating on me. Our marriage was annulled. My brother was incarcerated. I was alone in Columbia, South Carolina. An implant displaced. My life just hit a downward spiral. And the very person that actually convinced me to have my first drink was my ex-husband. He was like, it's a Malibu rum and pineapple juice, and I'll never forget it. And that drink was pivotal. God used that to take me to such a depth. I was in 3 car accidents. I could have been killed. I was cut out of a truck. I flipped a vehicle. I almost killed somebody, hit them head on. Thank God all they had walked away with was a tendonitis, a ringing in the ear. I still pray for their family today. My son was almost taken away from me, DSS. I was in a very bad place. And I was smoking marijuana every day. I did not know Jesus. My parents were Hindu, but the Lord said he called me a Nazarite. He separated and consecrated me because he had a plan for me. So I went through really, really, really dark places alone, thinking I was alone, but he knew me before I knew him. And he drew me to him at a time and a place when I was 32 years old. And he took me to the crux. Like I tell people, it's the crux. It's the crutch. And the word cross means the cross. It's a crux, C-R-U-X. It's the heart of a matter. And my son was all I was living for. And when I was about to lose my son, when DSS began coming to my house, because I had a child endangerment charge driving under the influence with my 7-year-old in the back seat, the Holy Spirit spoke to me so clear. It was like a Damascus, on the road to Damascus, that moment where Saul was hit with that light, that he was like, why are you persecuting my people? The Lord literally said to me, why have you become the very thing that you hated? And he showed me the power of judgment. And so because I judged my dad and I seethed him and I secretly harbored so much anger for him, right? Because my mom was terminally ill, but his illness, he put on himself. But he didn't put it on himself. He overperformed. And when he overperformed, when he tried to produce, he's called to be an overcomer, but he didn't understand that overcoming came in surrenderance. A lot of times we feel like we have to work our way out of situations, work our way out of bad places, and not by our strength and not by our might. But in our strength and in our might, we disregard the Spirit of God a lot of times because we don't know he's in our life. So I was delivered. I promised God, if you'll let me keep my son, I will never drink again in my life. I have been sober I'm going on my 11th year. I have not touched alcohol. He delivered me from, he took the taste out of my mouth, but it was at an exchange. There was a price that was paid. I will serve him all the days of my life with clean hands and a pure heart. And not that I'm perfect, but I'm confessed. But I say that to say I began preaching. I was called to pastor at a young age, 38. And I have an awesome ministry, God, as a young single woman, because my testimony and the power of God to be able to encourage them to listen. I know you're going through divorce. I know you're going through rejection. I know you're going through addiction. I know you're going through lack. I know you're hurting. But if he did it for me, he can do it for you. Let me just stand as evidence, right? So that I can be an example and encourage you, and then give you the word so that you can go to the source yourself, right? You have access. But in building other people, I lost myself. And I began to overperform. I saw people that were hurting, and I wanted them to heal so bad. I did it at the expense of relationship with my son, time with myself, investing in myself. And then I watched all of these things start to build and flourish around me. And I felt so overlooked. I felt so unseen. I began to feel the way I felt when I started drinking. And God said, it's a pattern. It was never addiction. The root of addiction was rejection. The rejection of a father, the rejection of not having the life that you thought that you deserved, or that it was that rejection. And so I felt I had to make people love me. I had to prove to them that I was a great leader. I had to give them my last and prophesy for hours until I was laying on the floor and the only person left to pick me up was my son or my brother or my sister-in-law to take me home. And it was like,
and I'm not trying to cut you off, but I know where you're going, and I'm trying to hold back the tears
No, it's
because
fine.
I'm listening to you, and you overperformed because and you felt like you weren't being seen. In my case, I performed because I was running from me. I
Ah,
didn't want to deal with me. I
yeah,
didn't want to deal with my situation. So I did everything that I could to stay away from me.
ah,
I would get involved in this situation, that situation, this performance. I would tell people I can do this, I can make this for you. Anybody wants to have anything done, even
yeah,
if I didn't know how to do it, I could do it. And I'll go and read up on how to do it because I did not want to sit in a quiet place and deal with me.
yourself.
I didn't want to acknowledge it. I didn't want to admit that you have a problem. And despite the fact that you were sexually abused that everybody knows about by now, how am I, despite that, something else is blocking me from moving forward. And that's
Right.
why all the time we get in our own way. Like you said, you overperform because you wanted people to, whatever the situation was, because you were trying to not deal with that.
With myself.
Right, with yourself. You're trying
Right.
not to accept it. You didn't want to admit it. So something else takes the place. And a lot of us do that. And we
Yeah.
do it so professionally that we don't
Yes.
even realize that we're doing it.
Absolutely.
And we gravitate to the recognition, to the likes, to the acknowledgement of
That's,
others,
that's right.
even if might not be true.
Right.
And because sometimes people acknowledge you and validate you for their own good, and we completely ignore us. And I've had to learn, just like you had to, hit rock bottom, because that accident was at rock bottom. And the Holy Spirit has to show up. Sometimes some of us get to that point in order for us to accept,
Yes.
in order for us to move on. It's not the case for everybody, but some of us get to that point. Because for me, I had a voice inside, and that voice was screaming. It was screaming. It wanted to come out. I'd see JNL. I'm using JNL as an example, but I'd see somebody on stage giving a story, telling it, giving a testimony. And I'm like, but I have a story, but I don't have a voice. Nobody will hear me. Nobody will see me because I'm ashamed of myself because what happened was my fault. And it's in there and I want it out and it's not coming out because I did not stop to take care of me. I did not stop to have a conversation with me. I saw myself in the mirror when I got dressed, and all I saw was this outward appearance. I didn't see anything beyond these eyes. I didn't see anything beyond this color, the color of my skin. And like Jana mentioned in the beginning, this might not be for everybody, but we're praying that it's for somebody who is in a situation, who's going through a situation, who's not only just surviving, because you go through these stages, but who's thriving and who knows, even if they don't know how to say it or if they don't know how to articulate it, that there's more to me. What do I do to get past that? And it's this platform and stories and testimonies like Miss Patel that makes a difference. Where you don't think that you have to be, I have to keep this to myself. It's a secret. Because you might overcome, but are you helping anybody else? Are you reaching anybody? Are you just keeping it to yourself and think that let everybody think that you're just perfect person? This is how we work together. I'm
Yeah,
about to cry.
I was really touched by your testimony, Ra.
Hmm.
And I know Alicia's story and what she's been through, and I can relate. I can relate to everything that's being said. And that's one of the reasons why I believe that God gave me the title Life Fulfillment Coach. He gave that to me before I even started hearing about this life coach and that coach and this type of coach. And, I said to him one day, I said, I can sing, I write music, I play the piano, I do this and I do that. But God, who am I? Who am I? You know, how can you sum me up in one word? And he said to me, life fulfillment coach. And I was like, life fulfillment coach? What's that? I'd never heard about it before, never heard anyone mention it. I've heard about a life coach. The little bit that I do know about it, I guess they coach you about life. But what is a life fulfillment coach? And he said to me, and he talked to me just like I'm speaking to you right now. And he said, fulfillment. What are people, what is fulfilling people's lives is what you're coaching them into. And he told me about purpose being one of those big factors. And that's why I'm so passionate when I see someone that's lost or someone that's confused. 9 times out of the 10, they don't understand what their purpose is. And I had to get to that place of overperforming, Miss Patel, because people would always ask me to do, and I love to be liked by people. I love to be that person that everyone likes. And so you get worn out. You over here doing this, you over here doing that. You can't say no. I'm telling you, that's not a good quality to have, not having the ability to say no. I had to read a book. The book told me the book was called The Art of Saying No. I had to find that place where I was okay with saying no. I was okay with saying I'm not going to do this today. I'm sorry, but I'm just not going to do it today. Today is not that day for me. I'll call you when I get an opportunity, and stop feeling the pressure of, oh, I'll jump and do it right away, because we lose ourselves, Rob. You lost yourself in the good that you were doing. And sometimes our compassion for others, I would take and I would give my last. But how does that help my 8-year old? How does
Right.
that help my household with me giving you my last? I mean, it sounds good. They'll probably say it at my funeral. Oh, she was the type of person, she would give you the shirt off her back. Yeah, but I'm dead and you're alive,
Come on,
probably
say
in my
that.
shirt.
Say
So
that.
you got
I
to
love
really learn. You got
Ooh,
to learn how to take care of you. Mind, body, and soul. They all go together. Without your mind, your body and your soul can do nothing. Without your body, who cares about your mind and your soul? And without your soul, you're just an empty person. You need them to work. It's the Trinity. It's like the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. It's like the three dimensions of a human being: your mind, your body, and your soul, your mind, your intellect, what you think, your emotions, all of your experiences, your soul, and your body. You need all of those to function in place. So, for those of you that are out there that are super spiritual and super religious and got all this stuff going on in your life, you need to take a minute, because those same religious people will bury you.
come
And they
on.
will say, Sister Mary Clarence was, oh, she was good. God bless her soul. And
Right.
that's, you got to take care of you. So, Ra, I know that you had this moment, this Damascus Road experience where you had a head-on collision with God and he changed your life. What has been some of the challenges that you've faced now that you're born again? How does that transcend into relationships and you being a prophet or you being a pastor, you walking in that office? I mean, listen, guys, I met her in person, and she is beautiful. She is gorgeous, and she is one of the reasons why I actually, glean on her and just cling to her, is because she loved God. This woman loves God. She's even prayed for me. She's even held my hand and prayed for me, but she's so not religious. She's not your typical pastor. She is not, she's not your typical pastor. And Alicia know how I feel about the judgmental church. Okay. I qualify. People say, well, what qualifies you? I qualify. My dad is a pastor. He's been pastoring for almost all my life. I was married to a pastor. I was married to a pastor's son. So I know what the church life is all about. I have experienced being ostracized, being condemned, being slid down through the mud, getting pregnant at 17, and the whole church just ready to slice your head off.
Come on.
I've been there and I've done that. Gotatshirt.com. So I understand the whole religious judgment. I mean, they still doing it now, but right now I'm at a place I really don't care, because the last time I checked, the person that went to Calvary for me was Jesus. Not you. No, not you, and definitely absolutely not you. So what you got to say is, okay, you can say it. It's your opinion. That's great. But, I follow the one that died for me. Now I don't know who died for you, but I follow the voice of the one that died for me. So how did you managed to build your ministry. You're a pastor.
Janelle, just give me a quick second. And before she even gets to that point, I cannot shake, and I'm asking this for our audience, I cannot shake the different events that, or the different things that she's been through. Losing her parents at 17, having to take care of her brother, turning to alcohol, that's something that she hated because she saw it growing up, having to do with an alien mom and alien dad, getting into a marriage, that whole everything. Before you even talk about that road that you were on, because we talk about the ending. What does it feel like being in it? So somebody else who's going through it thinks that, you know what, they don't know what I'm feeling. They say yes, they've been through stuff, but they have no idea to be in it. Yes, I've been through it. I met Christ, I found Christ, I'm on the way now. To be in it, explain what it is. It's just one thing after the other. And then lead into how you.
I preached a sermon. It's funny you say that 2 Sundays ago in our in-person service, and it was called Expensive Pain. It was called Expensive Pain. It feels like pain to the point that you become numb. To the point that you just literally are a vessel and you are just going through life on autopilot. You get so used to taking the hits, they no longer hurt.
Yep.
You get so used to falling, you don't know how to stand. You're so lost that it's just, I tell people, it's just like if it was a raft that was going down a river, and it's getting beat up by every rock on a raft that it hits, that it can totally become deflated and no longer have any air in it, and it is still going down the river, just being hit by the rocks, but it's lifeless. It's lifeless. It feels, it hurts so bad that you so I tell people an unclean spirit is something that grows in you. It's not something that comes in you, it's something that grows in you. And that pain, the rejection, then the abandonment, then the addiction, then the fear, it creates a pain body, literally a pain body. And that is what the Spirit of God has to deliver. But when you are in a pain body, it develops such an ego. You develop so many coping mechanisms in life that you are so far from who you were when you started as a little 6-year-old, 7-year-old girl. You are so far removed from that reality that you are numb to anything that looks real. That's how it feels. It feels like anything that you can find to take you out of your mind and keep you in that pain body, whether it is gossip, whether it is bad relationships, whether it is sex, whether it is drugs, whether it is just moving, changing jobs, always looking for the next thing. It becomes numb. That's one word that I can classify: numb. No feelings, heartless. Somebody can break
And
your
to be
heart and become so used to pain that you come to expect it.
Sometimes we can't even accept when real love is coming our way. We're so used to being broken and it not working out. If something good comes our way, we're like, that something ain't right. Something just ain't right with that. So we, like you said, God has to deliver you from that. And that's why this topic today is so prevalent, Alicia, because people have to be able to acknowledge, we live in a day and in a phase where everyone want you to see their perfect life on social media. They always have great pictures and they're always doing stuff and giving away stuff, and I'm just doing so well. And you need the attention and the validation of others to keep fueling that emptiness that you have on the inside. But deep down on the inside, you're depressed. You've experienced so much rejection, you've been going through so many struggles mentally, but you need to put on this facade because people believe that I'm this type person. And I dare you today, if that's you and you're listening to this show today, and you know deep down inside that you're not happy with who you are, and you just put on this facade so that people can like you. I want you to really listen deep, because I believe that God is going to speak a word that's going to come from this show today. And he's going to speak a word in your spirit that's going to trigger something on the inside of you, deep down in your belly, that's going to want to cause you to draw near to him and really discover who you really are and why you are here, so that you can stop living under the expectations of others, so that you can live to please him, and not live from a place of rejection, not live from a place of not loving who you are. Because there are many of us that are walking around that we really don't like who we are. We got to put on a whole lot of stuff to make people accept us, because we want to be accepted. But deep down inside, that rejection is really what's at the core, the fruit. We don't see the root, we just see the fruit. But there's a root, and the root cause, like Ross said, is the rejection. The rejection is the root cause. And so until you can cut the fruit down all you want. You can pray over the fruit. You can fast over the fruit. But until you get down deep and destroy the root of that thing, I mean, sever it so that it cannot fuse back together again, you will never completely be healed. So acknowledge that, yeah, this is what I like. I'm addicted to likes. I'm addicted. I always said, Lisa Nichols, she said a quote. She said, I like me. So you liking me is just extra. I don't need you to like me. I don't need you to go ahead and click the like button on Facebook, because guess what? Some of us get depressed when we put a nice post out there that we thought so much about, and one or two persons like it, and you're like, what's wrong with the people that's reading it? You know what I'm saying? And so
Mm-hmm.
we live for that validation. But Ra, you've said that. You've
Yeah.
said what it feels
Mm-hmm.
like. You've said that place that you to. I want to get to the point where, because even now, I know that it's not 100% easy. Everything don't just go away. The enemy, listen, the enemy is never going to stop. He may go away for
He
a
walks to
season,
and
Miss
fro.
Alicia, but he's going to come right back. When Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
remember when Jesus had just finished his fasting and he was in his most vulnerable, weakest state, the enemy showed up. He knew that was the perfect timing. The same thing he does with us, the perfect timing. You longing to be in a relationship? Let me send you the wrong person. Let me send you someone that's going to take you 365 degrees away from where God had you go. And let me just send you someone that's going to cause your life to be out of whack for the next 10 years. So when Jesus went to the wilderness and he was going through it, and he just, was ending his fast, the devil showed up and say, hey, look, I want to show you something. I want to show you my kingdom. I want to show you what I've acquired. And I'll give it to you. I'll let you participate in this if you just bow down and worship me. And Jesus was like, you think I'm stupid? No. The only person that you need to worship is the Lord God. He come back to everything he said with the word. When he said, oh, I know you hungry, but you're the son of God. You could turn these rocks into bread, and you could have something to eat. You could call the angels, lest you dash your foot against a stone. And Jesus said, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of God. In other words, listen, he was weak, but he still had the word wrapped up inside of him. But the enemy will test you so raw. You're beautiful. You're a pastor. You're a prophet. I mean, I know it cannot be, all peaches and cream. Just talk a little bit about your transition to that point, and how has it been, and any of the challenges, so that other single women out there that are thinking, okay, God called me to pastor, I certainly can't do this, I'm single. Speak to those women out there, even some men that God has called aside to pastor and lead.
Well, I will tell anybody, um, if it's something that you want to do, it's not what God has called you to do. Your passion prepares you for the purpose. But generally, when that purpose shows up in my life experience, it is it's a hard decision. He had sent 3 people to me within 72 hours to tell me that you're called a pastor. I didn't want a pastor. You're a prophet. I prophesy every day. I don't want the title. I don't need it. I do God's work every day. Janelle, you met me in the marketplace. Like, I am a marketplace prophet. I don't want to do it. But because the trade, you are now putting your life under a microscope for cruel, judgmental, religious, imperfect, narcissistic people to come and tear you apart. Every decision, every outfit, every just attack you. You put yourself in a place where you become a target. And it's so much better to do God's work on the low. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I said, I don't want a pastor. I cried. Because not that I had anything to hide, but I know that I dealt with people pleasing. I know that I dealt with insecurity and validation. And the very thing that I was afraid of, just like the very thing I hated in my dad, was the very thing I became. But I came into a season where I believe that the moments where you were talking about, even Miss Alicia, when she was talking about what does it feel like, when you're in it, and that to get to the transition point, I believe the Holy Spirit shows you a mirror when you get to the very end of yourself. When you are so tired, when he's like, are you done yet? Are you finished yet? Are you done yet? You have energy, and that ego will make you keep going, but everybody hits a rock bottom and you'll see a mirror. And that mirror, you can either choose to look at it and it will transition and transform you, or you can turn away from it and you will become more of what you already are, right? You will either heal or you will continue to hurt, and it's going to be harder for you to come out of it because you just create more lessons, more trauma, more pain that you have to now have atonement for. The world calls it karma, the Bible calls it atonement. Amen. But so I would tell anybody that do what God has called you to do on his terms, not man's terms. I am not a collar wearing, curtain toting, gospel music out loud playing, hallelujah, everywhere. I'm not her. I have the heavenly language. I don't have to prove it. Lecrae said something that blessed me. It delivered me. And God reminded me that the same thing that delivered me from alcoholism was the same thing that delivered me to be able to walk in being a pastor and a prophet unapologetically, who God called me to be. I am an anomaly. We are anomalies. We're all fearlessly and wonderfully made. We have our own DNA, our own whatever your thing is. God is going to use your thing. I love to rhyme. I tell people I could have been a rapper, so my sermons come out rhyming. They laugh at me. They'll say bars because it's like a prophet, and I don't. But Lecrae said something. He said, "You're living for their acceptance. You're going to die from their rejection."
Ooh, that's good.
To live for somebody's acceptance, you will die from their rejection. And I thought that only applied in the world. Man, that applied in the church. The same thing that killed Jesus was the same thing that will kill you if you are called by God. That Pharisee, Sadducee, religious, a form of godliness, denying the power thereof, ain't got no heat, just talk really loud. And I would tell anybody that if single woman, single man, God has called you to preach, he's called you to pastor, he's called you to write, he's called you to sing, he's called you to do his work. Do it, but do not compare. Comparison is the thief of joy. Do not compare yourself to anybody else. And do not feel that you have to perform. The people that I love my church now. You want to know why? Because I don't have to earn their love. It's given to me freely because they were sent to me. I didn't have to take them. I didn't have to hold. They were sent to me. And when God has an assignment for you, it's going to be sent to you, and it's going to be uncomfortable. Like Miss Alicia said, she knows she had a voice, but she was scared to use it. And when God probably told her to do the podcast, she was probably like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm okay. It's not. It's the thing that you're called to do is the thing that you're uncomfortable doing, and it's because it's your gift. And if you are truly called from God, your gift is what you have been shamed for your whole life. Be quiet. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say. Stop all that singing. Stop all that
Mm-hmm.
talking. But you called to evangelize. But you called to songwrite. Stop going and giving everybody hugs, but you called to heal. Like that transformation to say no. Who does he say I am? Who does he say I am? And I had to get up just the other day when I was saying to myself, like, I don't want to pastor anymore. God, I don't want the church. And he said, you don't want to pastor anymore because you were pastoring according to man's criteria. My spiritual mama said to me, she said, the church is going to hate you, but God is going to love you.
Mm-hmm.
God is going to
Wow.
keep you. And you got to be okay to do it. When he said, listen, it's narrow. That path is narrow. Many are called, few are chosen. You can be called and you can be in the crowd, or you can be chosen and you can, and that walk is a little bit alone. I get a lot of backlash, but I just got to the place where I don't care. I'm going to dress how I dress. I'm going to say, I'm going to go where I want to go. If I go to a lounge, I promise you 3 people have been saved in a corner somewhere just by a testimony, just by going and drinking water, just being among them in the light. You don't drink? You'd be surprised how many times I'm in Atlanta, people say you don't drink. How many people have literally been so filled by the word that they're like, I don't even want to drink that. I'm good. That's the word. But you got to admit that you're hurting. God got to deliver you before you can deliver anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to acknowledge that you're broken, accept that you have the majority of the responsibility because you have a choice in everything. It's the choices you make, not the chances that you take that determine your destiny. And then you got to admit that you have been doing it wrong for a very long time. And you got to be able to stand in front of the people that you want to prove so bad to who you are, to be able to say, I changed my mind and I'm allowed to change my mind. I admit that I was not doing it the right way, and I don't need your acceptance to turn. I'm going to turn anyway. I'm going to turn away from the things that are killing me, and I'm going to turn towards the one who's delivered me, who called me. Because if he's for me, who can be against me?
You know, I listen to her, and it's I think about Christ who died for us. And
Hallelujah.
him being our ultimate example, he was rejected, he was bruised, and we were made in his image and likeness. But he acknowledged and he accepted and he admitted, I was sent here for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to live through that purpose. So what makes us any different? I run from me. People look at you and they're like, you're so tall. You're so, whatever, description they have of you. And I don't want to hear that. I don't want to acknowledge that, why I couldn't be a little shorter with some smaller feet. Why I have to be such a tall one with these long feet that I can't wear certain shoes or whatever the case is? Why I have to be a size, And I'm like, okay, if I cannot accept any of that and I can't acknowledge and be comfortable with that, I can't talk to anybody else. How am I going to say anything to you when I'm not even comfortable in my skin? How come when I don't even want to deal with me? How can I bring a word for you when I don't even want to use my voice? And that's one reason why when anybody has anything to say about a situation, I have no objections because I'm like, what did I do? How did I make a difference? Did I put myself in a position to have that voice to plant a seed in you? If not, I should be quiet. And the reason why I can't say anything or be a part of it is because I haven't accepted it. I haven't admitted it. I haven't acknowledged what I'm dealing with. So therefore, if I want to make a difference, I have to deal with the 3 A's in order to heal. I call it AAA to heal. And we do not heal, not because we're not capable of, because we weren't put on this earth to hurt. We weren't put here just because. We were put here again with a purpose. And if we don't get to the place, and I'm saying this in general, it's my opinion, but I'm still saying it in general. If we don't get to the place where we walk in that purpose, we would have wasted 30 years, 40 years, 60 years, 100
Mhm.
years, die leaving not feeling fulfilled, sitting in your chair, at 80, wondering What happened?
What
What did
ifs?
I do? What should have, would have, could have?
May I say one thing?
Sure.
You said the three A's: acknowledge, accept, and admit. And when you talk about healing, we teach something similar to that, and I completely agree with everything that you've said. But there's one word that I use a lot, instead of admit, which admit is a great word. It's accountability,
Mm-hmm.
and for healing. And I think that, like, even when you said, like, you being tall and your feet being big and all these things, like, acknowledging, accepting that that's who God called you to be, and everything that He's made about you is perfect, and He's going to use it. But then to be accountable for how much of that we take on as our shame. We take on so much. We take on so many people's opinions. Because for me, I'm 5 foot tall and I'm very shapely, and I was body shamed for having a big, being very curvy and short. And you can't wear that in the pulpit, and people would try, and that body, and I had to be accountable for the fact that I let their opinions, some of this healing that I need to do is because I got to be accountable for the fact that I not just admit it, but be accountable for how much of that stuff I took on.
Mm-hmm.
They,
You're right.
just because it happened didn't mean I had to wear it like a badge or take it on as part of my identity. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, that was major in healing, being accountable to all of, just being accountable.
Right. You're so right. You are so right. Because we take on so much that is not necessary. We worry about the recognition, the validation. And who should be validating us is us. It's between us and the Almighty. They didn't create you. They're not waking you up every morning. They're not putting food on your table. But we focus on the wrong thing. We look at the society and the choices that we make, and we give the devil that empty room that we have in our heart. And when he gets that opportunity to get in, he takes advantage of it. And the folks that we have in our lives as well, they just wobble along with him. They're not telling us no different. And we accept it.
I
One
just think
mindset.
I just think when you get to that place where you are able to receive deliverance from people, that's an amazing place to be in. When your mind is free and you're not walking around wondering what someone will think and what someone will say. And we're not saying it in a disrespectful manner. We're saying when you can just do what God tells you to do without having to consult someone else. What do you think? What do you think about my vision? What do you think about my dream? Because you
Come
don't you
on.
don't understand that there's so many people that are not for you.
Mm-hmm.
When Jesus was ready to do what he needed to do, he had three he called. He didn't try to take the whole 5,000. He said, "You know what? I got a circle, but then I got an inner circle within that circle, and they know how to pray. They know how to get a prayer through." You know what I'm saying? And so we've got to understand when we have these relationships, we have to have that spirit of discernment as young women, as people that God has called. We have to have that spirit of discernment, because I promise you, when God delivered me mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually from what people thought about me, and He empowered me to love the version that He created. And the real me, the purposeful me began to come out and begin to be transformed. There are a lot of people that started to drop away. People that I used to hang with, you can't, I don't hear from them anymore. And a lot of things in my life has changed and shifted because I'm now this supposedly new person. It was always there, but it was under the layer of condemnation, rejection, and you couldn't see it until I took off all of those old grave clothes and I
Mm-hmm.
stripped myself of that. And then you begin to see this person, that God has created in His likeness and in His image, and to have that place, walk into that place where you know who you are. And I believe this is what all of these beautiful women on this platform today are transcending. We've been through some things, we've been through the trenches. We did not have it easy. And before we were able to learn who we were and know our identity, the enemy, he bunks us around, causes us to choose wrong relationships, wrong things to be addicted to, wrong places at the wrong time. But I'm telling you, at that point of no return, when you have that Damascus Road experience like Prophet Rod did, and she came head to head with the life. She saw herself in the mirror, and God said, "Listen, this is not who you are, baby girl. This isn't what I've called you to do. I know what they say. I know how they've ostracized you, or how they said this is who you are. But baby girl, this is not what you answer to. You are who I say you are." And I'm speaking that into your life and into your ear gates today. Don't worry about what other people have said that you are. You answer to who God says that you are. It's whoever He say that you are. That's who you are. That's who you really are. No, you're not a prostitute. You're not a drug dealer. You're not addicted to drugs. You're not an alcoholic. God says that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and He's called you to do this, and He's called you to do that, and that's who you are. So I don't want you to get to that place where you feel so condemned and rejected that you feel like you're not worth, answering to the call of God, because you are. And we are here to prove that you are worth it. And He died for you before you even got here. So don't you think He knew everything that you would experience, every heartache, every pain, every disappointment? He knew it before the foundation of this world. He knew it. So today we're saying that no matter what it is that you find yourself faced with, just know that God loves you and He have a plan. Just like He did it for Alicia, He gave her voice. Alicia was shy, she was drawn back, she was an introvert, so she said. But God transformed her life. And now look at her speaking on this platform. You've got Prophet Rod that's been, without her parents, coming to a strange place, having to learn how to survive on her own, getting into marriage, getting divorced, being addicted to alcohol, just going through all of this. But look how God has transformed her life. If He did it for us, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, He is able to do exceedingly abundantly. He can do it for you. So if you don't hear anything else that we've said here today, we want you to know that God is able. He is able. And Alicia, I know we never have enough time. It's never,
Nope.
an hour is never enough time. I know. But I just need I just need that to drive home in your hearts that God is still able, no matter what it is, no matter what happened last night. He still love you. No matter what you did this morning before you listen to this show, He still love you. Yeah, I know. He love you. Don't listen to them that try to condemn you and look down on you and scorn on you. Like, no, God died for you too, boo. He did not just die for those self-righteous people, honey. He died for you. Okay?
Mhm.
So that's my 5 cents. And I love you guys. Prophet Ra, oh my God, your testimony. We can
Jane,
listen to you on and on and on and on and on. But like
Oh,
Miss Alicia said, we do repeats. We do bring our guests back, but
hey,
it
I'm always willing. It's been a pleasure. Thank you guys for inviting me, for humbly extending your platform and just being so gracious to extend the invitation. I'm humbled. I'm honored. I'm grateful to be in the presence of two mighty, powerful, God-fearing women who are living life on purpose, unapologetically. I love it. I pray God continues to bless everything you guys touch, everything set your mind to, that He will see to it, and He will see it all the way through the end, that He will continue to open doors that no man can close, and close doors that no man can shut in your life. Amen.
amen, amen. Receive that.
amen.
Miss Patel, where can they find you? Because we're wrapping up now. How can we get in touch with you? And a
Yes.
quick,
So you
quick
can
nugget.
reach me on Instagram platform. If you go to Instagram, we're at MIM United, UNITED. That's the name of the church. You can also, there is an email on there. I think it's my email. I'm so you can email me at the raw perspective, THERAAH perspective.com, therawperspective.com, because that is actually the name of a show we're working on, which is the seer's point of view. So that's how they can reach me.
Awesome.
Awesome. Jane,
It's just it's just been an awesome day, Alicia. I'm really blessed and honored to have been sharing this platform with you and to see you grow and to bloom and flourish, and walking in the promises of God. I mean, it's amazing for me to physically see that transformation. So I'm really just happy to be a part of this. I'm on Instagram. My Instagram account was hacked, and so I've never really gotten back into it. But you can join the She Inspired Women. group that I have on Facebook, She Inspired Women. And also, you can find me as Janelle Drayton on my regular Facebook page. Hey, I'll be more than happy to work with you, to coach you, to help you live life on purpose, to find out who you are, why you're here, and really walk out and live your authentic self and the best version that God created you to be. I would be happy to help you with that.
Thank you so much, Janelle. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being my co-host. You know, you're my foundation right there. You know, I was nervous about doing this. Like she said, I'm introvert. I'm not supposed to use that word, but I have seen the growth in me, and I'm excited about it. You know, an hour is never long enough, but it only takes a minute to plant a seed. And sometimes the seed flourish even if it just falls on the earth. So even if we just look at you, you should see him shining through us. And that's our goal right here, to have that presence, to use what we have. This platform, like the pastor, like Miss Patel, I fought when I was asked to have a platform because I didn't want to speak. It was not in my DNA. But when the spirit imparts a message on you, you don't have a choice. You talking to even know that you're talking. I am again Alicia Alexander. I am your forgiveness coach. Forgiveness is what freed me. It is a journey. It is not the easiest thing to do at all, but it is attainable. And the world is too big for me alone to have an influence, for Janelle alone, for Miss Patel alone. It's for us to work together and try and reach each corner that we can and try and influence somebody else and help them to get to where we are, even if we're not completely healed, but to bring them along on the journey so they can see. And they might even be able to go ahead of us and teach us something because we learn from each other. Thank you so much, ladies, for being here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much
Thank
for
you.
just sharing, unapologetically sharing, for being transparent with us. We love
Absolutely.
you.
Love you guys as well.
I want to love you. We thank you again, and thanks our audience for their comments. It's not us. It's about him.
Let me
And I'm
give a
com-
shout out, Alicia. I'm gonna give a
Mhm.
shout out to Brittany. Brittany Garvin, thank you for joining us on the show. We got another Patel, Joya Patel,
Oh,
on.
that's
Thank
my
you.
sister.
Oh, great. Well, thank you for just being a part. We got Tanika. You know, I can't see with these glasses on. We
I
got
can.
Tanika Kante on. Thank you for being a part. Nicole Whitney. We
Oh,
thank you guys, Nicole Whitney, all of you guys that are on here. We thank you so much for being
come
a
on,
part of this show
Anaya.
today. Thank you guys so much. Make sure this video will be available after Alicia is done. We want you to share it. We want you to post it. We want you to like it. We want you to make sure that you spread the word and let people know that there's something amazing that happens right here the first Saturday of every month at 3 o'clock live on Facebook.
Thank you. Bye.
See you
Bye.
guys later. Bye. I love you.
Love you.
Bye.